Hello, welcome to Horror Cult Trash Over, the show that discusses all of the masterpieces and trashy pieces of genre cinema. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we are here today to start part one of our two-part Friday the 13th funeral.
Funeral. Yes.
Because they can't sort their shit out with the rights and get something new made, we are down to our final films for this special double episode day.
Yeah, so this was something we started quite near the beginning of the podcast, wasn't it?
Probably about, I'd say 4 years ago.
4 years.
I feel like we started it a year in.
So we've doubled up recently, kind of, haven't we?
Yeah.
But essentially it's taken us 4 years of Friday the 13th. I don't know if that's more or less regular than I thought it would be. I suppose it's something I never really thought about too much. It just
if we didn't
kind of happened.
If we didn't double up, it'd probably be another 2 years.
Yeah.
But we're coming to an end.
We are.
And what a way to go out. We won't be doing best and worst on this episode. Last time when we did a double Friday the 13th, it was on the first one. You'll have to listen to the next one if you want to hear what our best and worst of the week is.
I was going to leave you in suspense.
Yeah. Which, of course, will be released at midday. If you're listening now at midnight, get some sleep. What are you doing? Well, thank you.
I suppose you haven't got really that long to... Well, that's midnight
Or
here.
if you're in America, then it's probably a decent time for you.
People probably fall asleep to us.
Yeah. That's so weird to think. But we might be those guys. What I am going to do, though, is give a shout out to our lovely friends over at AIM Publicity and Second Sight for sending us the limited edition Blu-ray of release of Creep, which, of course, as anyone knows, I'm a big found footage fan, and as anyone else knows who also likes found footage, Second Sight are like the home for found footage releases now.
Yeah.
They have been releasing some real top tier stuff, and every single one is just as great as the next. It's fantastic. I mean, they recently did a Blair Witch release that was with a version of the film that hasn't been available like ever since it was at festivals. So they're really on top of that game, and it definitely makes sense for him to do a film like Creep, which is a milestone, I think, within found footage. It tries something new with a really interesting plot, and it ends up being a really suspenseful film with a powerhouse performance in the lead.
Yeah, it's quite a character-driven...
Yes.
Driven.
Yeah.
Character-driven film, which you don't always get with found footage. Apart from Blair Witch.
Yeah.
But, it's great. It's a good film, and the release that they've done, as always, is fantastic.
Yeah. Check it out for the scariest use of a werewolf mask you'll ever see. But with that being said, from a franchise that has just started within the last 10 years or so.
There's another film, isn't there? Creep.
There's Creep 2, and now on Shudder, the Creep tapes. Yeah, and I think Creep 3 is in production. But from a franchise that has just found its feet now with its TV show, to a franchise that's been going since 1980.
It's dead on its feet.
It is dead in the water, sadly. Spoiler warning is now in effect, but if you went to school with me in 2001, you don't need that, because everyone fucking saw this film. Everyone was talking about it on the playground. It's Jason X.
Were they?
How old would you have been in 2001?
13.
Oh, you were the perfect age for Jason X.
I was the perfect age for Jason X, but I...
Get your older looking friend to buy it for you.
I didn't actually, and I didn't watch it until I got the box set on DVD. But yeah, I heard of it. I remember a review in, I think it was Empire magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Did a review, and I think they gave it like 3 stars.
That's
which
generous.
I was really shocked by, and I thought, oh, okay. I thought it was a throwaway. I may be lying, I may be misremembering, but I haven't got the history with the film that Gary has. I was very late to it, and because I watched Friday the 13th and a few of the sequels as they were on TV, but Jason X was never on TV, so.
Well, It's funny you mention reviews because, contrary to popular belief, and I think it showed up on a lot of these episodes.
Yes.
One or two of them. This is not on film critic Roger Ebert's most hated list.
Oh.
He did have a notorious hatred of the Friday the 13th films that he shared with Gene Siskel. They both paid their own money to see the films just so they could slam the original film in their program. And after his written half-star review for Part 2, Ebert refused to write any more, adding that this single review will suffice for the Friday the 13th movie of your choice. For some reason, he still paid his own money to watch and review Jason X, awarding it, again, half a star, commenting that Jason X sucks on the levels of storytelling, character development, suspense, special effects, originality, punctuation, neatness, and aptness of thought. Only its title works. He only praised Jason's new upgrade. Oh, honey, come on, life's too short.
It's taking it a little too
I mean, your life's over now. I wonder if he
seriously.
looked back and he was like, oh, I'm glad I watched Jason X. And also, yeah, learn to have a bit of fun. It's not good, but come on.
I mean, our MO on the podcast is overanalyzing films, but
We still have to have fun with them.
yeah, it's like if you hate these films so much, we watched Jason X hoping we're gonna get another final chapter.
Yeah,
That's
obviously.
or actually,
Jason Lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We watched Jason X hoping we'll get another Jason Lives.
We should have.
Siskel and Ebert,
Yeah.
they watched Jason X knowing they're going to hate
Of
it.
course
Because
they
they
did.
hated 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
1, 5, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just go back to what I was saying earlier? I've done my research.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Newman
Yeah.
of Empire Magazine
Uh-huh.
gave Jason X 4
Wow.
stars. 4 stars.
a
It
little
wasn't
silly.
released until 2002 here.
Okay.
So we're saying 2001, but release date was July the 19th, 2002.
So that would have been around the same time that I watched the original for the first time.
I would have been 14, so that's probably around the same time as well that I was aware of Friday the 13th. I probably had watched maybe the first 2 or 3 maybe actually.
Yeah.
But yes, I distinctly remember it getting a good review in Empire Magazine. I know I was shocked because it sounded fucking dreadful.
Yeah. I knew about this film because everyone was talking about it. And therefore this was probably my first impression of the Friday the 13th franchise. This and that DVD my dad got of Jason Goes to Hell with the DVD player. So
Was it one of those clips?
No, it was a
things
proper
on the side?
case.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
proper case. But when I watched Friday the 13th in 2002, after Jason X had been released and everyone was talking about it, I was like, I was a little confused. I loved it, and it, kick-started my love in taking horror films more seriously and actually watching them. But I was like, okay, where's Jason?
Why is this not in space?
Yeah. But yes, so Jason X, 2001 in America, 2002 here. Directed by James Isaac, who did Pig Hunt, Skinwalkers, House Free, The Horror Show. And that's it for his directing, but he did special effects for Return of the Jedi, Gremlins, Enemy Mine, House 2, Second Story, Look Who's Talking To, Virtuosity, Existence, The Fly, Naked Lunch, Deep Star 6, and that brings me to the question: how are the special effects in this so fucking bad?
Well, it looked like he was the creature technician. I think his forte was creatures. So
There is a shockingly bad looking creature in this film in one part.
Remind me.
The simulation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I this is definitely at the beginning of CGI, where it was a money saving thing for filmmakers. So it is used sparingly.
Yeah.
It's not always, but when it is, it's obvious and a bit crappy. Let's be honest.
He wanted this to be a wintry Camp Crystal Lake.
I would love that.
But New Line Cinema didn't want to do just another Campers in the Woods Jason film. So, yeah, I mean, that's what they were going to do for the sequel to the next film we're going to talk about today. It was going to be a found footage film in the snow. Okay. Friday the 13th. But, yeah, I think that would work. And for the next part, we have two different stories.
Okay.
Maybe three, actually, looking at it now, looking at my notes. So, in early 1999, this is story number one.
Yeah.
David Butcher and Robert Ziegler wrote an early script for director James Isaac titled Jason X, Hal Freezes Over.
Okay.
Where it was set in wintry Crystal Lake. The writers wanted the script to be a love letter to fans and included callbacks, references, and returning characters. Tommy Jarvis, Megan, Deputy Cologne, Ginny, Paul, Trish, and Tina. It's established Crystal Lake would also be turned into a lakefront housing development. Ginny became a child therapist.
Sorry, who?
Ginny. And is married to Paul. Cologne is the sheriff, and Tommy and Megan own Karloff's Market together. The script also introduced Elias Voorhees, and Jason would have gotten a new mask as a crowd cheering scene. The script was given to Sean Cunningham, who was so impressed he discussed them as possible sequels. However, the reason why it was scrapped was because the returning characters were owned by Paramount Pictures, and New Line only owned the rights to Jason Voorhees. According to Butcher and Ziegler, Jason's death was eerily similar to the climax of Friday the 13th, 2009. So much so that the writers of the remake also pitched a sequel to their film that just so happened to also take place in the snow like this script did. Oh. Story number two. So let me tell you who it's written by. Who it's actually written by first. Todd Farmer wrote this, who did Drive Angry, My Bloody Valentine 3D, The Messenger's Trick, and Heavenly Sword. Story number two. The film's script was made for a public contest where people willing to participate sent in the script. New Line Cinema loved the script so much that they gave the film 3 times the budget of the most expensive previous film in the series, which had been Jason Takes Manhattan. But during production, the budget still wasn't big enough for creating many sets and effects, leaving many scenes in the script to be changed or taken out completely. The original screenplay by Todd Farmer was allegedly much darker. It was rewritten by an uncredited Louis Abernathy, who had already done uncredited rewrites on Jason Goes to Hell. At the behest of Cunningham and the studio, he reportedly added a lot of the campy comedy and meta humour to capitalise on the success of Scream.
Yeah, makes sense.
Story number 3.
Oh.
During Jason X's development process, director James Isaac, producer Noel Cunningham, son of Sean Cunningham, and Todd Farmer kicked around a scenario, any scenario they could think of, typically having Jason insert here. The hood, their words, really, come on, use better terms. Snow, New York City, again, underwater, the Arctic, in LA fighting gangs, or on a safari.
Safari?
Yeah, they even considered something involving NASCAR.
Oh, God.
Farmer then suggested Jason in space, because they knew Freddy vs. Jason was on the way, and it would be best if Jason X was set afterwards, so it wouldn't interfere with Freddy vs. Jason. So they needed to jump into the future, but their original intention for a futuristic city was too expensive, eventually cutting things down to a spaceship. They were a little scared of doing a horror sequel in space, which was the final nail in the coffin for Hellraiser at the time, Leprechaun, and Critters. But they thought it could be a fun mashup of Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens, with not one but 2 strong Ripley-type females on a ship of badass space marines hunted by Jason instead of xenomorphs. Okay, so that's obviously what we got.
Yes.
What do we believe here? Because one minute there is a script and it's in winter, and Sean Cunningham really wanted it done, but New Line wouldn't let him because of the rights. Then it was a contest, so there was no wintry script apparently. And everyone loved Todd Farmer's script so much that they had to fast track it. And then there's the one where apparently they were all just sitting around kicking around ideas.
I was, and then I may have
Someone doesn't want to take the blame here.
I may have made this up, but I was under the impression that they were obligated to make a Friday the 13th film, but they knew that Freddy vs. Jason was coming out.
I feel like I heard
so they
this.
just threw together. They just said, "Well, let's just do it in space. Get Todd Farmer to write it, and we'll just do it." And that'll be it. I was under the impression that
maybe that's what was said on the documentary.
Yeah, just we need to get a film out there. They're contractually obligated to do Friday the 13th. Obviously, assuming that Freddy vs. Jason would be where the franchises go. Yeah, and I never understood why that never happened because it was a huge hit, the film. But assuming that that's where both of the franchises would lead on to, they just had to get a film out there. Yeah. And they chose Jason X, Jason in Space. There we go. And done.
Yeah, that would make more sense. I feel like all these different stories is a result of people passing the buck because they don't want to take blame for its critical and financial failure.
Was it a financial failure?
Yeah, based on characters by Victor Miller, of course. Budget $11 million, and it only made $17.1 million at the box office worldwide. That's shocking. The amount of people talking about this film back in the day.
People too young to go see it at the cinema.
Well, it tripled the cost of production in DVD and post-cinema sales.
There we go. There we are.
Statistically, it's one of the most successful films. Because of home media, and over time it's become more popular amongst younger fans of the franchise for its self-deprecating humour and inventive death scenes.
It's given made for TV.
It is.
The House Down Boots. It is a made for TV, straight to DVD.
It should have been straight to sci-fi.
It should have. That's what the film's giving, and it's perfectly fine. I've watched some wonderful made for TV movie or straight to DVD movies. It's okay. It doesn't have to go to the cinema. This one did because they assumed the name itself would sell it, but this is off the back of some fucking god-awful films.
It is, yeah.
Let's be honest. The double bill of Jason Takes Manhattan followed by Jason Goes to Hell, I mean, that's not cute.
No.
That's not good.
Followed by this.
Yeah, no one's going to be like, oh yeah, I enjoyed Jason Goes to Hell so much, can't wait for him to go to space. It's yeah, I can fully understand why people would not pay good money to go see it at the cinema. They would pay it to watch it on DVD because they can sell that. Or, I suppose Blockbuster was a thing at the time.
Blockbuster was a thing,
Rent it. I don't know if that
would go into...
Yeah. Do you think that would be included?
Yeah, I'm sure the money would go somewhere.
Yeah.
It wrapped filming in 2000 and wasn't released, obviously, as we've already discussed, 2001 in some places, 2002 in others. The main reason was that New Line's president of production, Michael DeLuca, was asked to resign in January 2001 following years of controversy on set and a string of huge box office failures for the studio, including Little Nicky and 13 Days.
Little Nicky,
the Adam Sandler film. Whilst he had fought to get Freddy vs. Jason made, he had greenlit Jason X in the meanwhile and was about the only person at the studio who still believed in it. His replacements didn't know what to do with the film, so they let it sit on the shelf for 2 years.
Oh shit. The
film was briefly considered for a direct-to-video release. Hesitant to put it into cinemas, unfortunately the film already leaked online, meaning that by the time it hit cinemas, the hardcore fans had long since had the chance to see it.
Oh, shit.
So that's another reason
why
it didn't make much money.
I would pay good money to see either a documentary or a Brian Murphy produced mini-series on New Line Cinema.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I really genuinely feel like it would be fascinating. You know, like the document. What was that great documentary on Canon Films?
Yeah.
Like that was so good. I would love to see that on New Line Cinema.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd like to see one on. I mean, there is a great documentary on two great documentaries on the Friday the 13th franchise. But I'd like to see one that really gets into it with the rights and such, because this shit has gone on for so long now, and it must be some juicy stuff going on for it to go on this long.
Oh, it's messier than a Housewives reunion episode. It's crazy.
It's like Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham. Do neither of them want to make any money? Because it's like you're having this argument for so fucking long, and all these different court cases and such. Guys, you are missing out on a lot of fucking money, because this would be such a successful franchise if you brought it back now.
Yeah, I think so. I think
do it as a requel.
Yeah, a requel. I think that would work.
Set it after part 4.
You know, you look at something like, I mean, Halloween. Let's be fair. Halloween itself, just the original film, and you know Jamie Lee Curtis as an actress and producer has a lot more prestige than Friday the 13th ever did. Let's be honest. And I like both franchises, but that recall, that return was huge business because Halloween was a fucking fantastic film that people still to this day watch time and time again and is on the greatest films of all time lists and all of that business. Friday the 13th has huge amount of fans, of course, but not even close to the prestige that Halloween had. So I can understand why they would want to do it in the right way.
Yeah, well, of course, Crystal Lake, the TV series, is apparently in production.
Is it A24?
A24 are doing it.
So that's a little bit of prestige there. Yeah,
very interesting. Obviously, this franchise has a long history with things being cut and such. This actually only suffered a couple of seconds of cuts to earn its R rating, making it the least censored entry in the franchise.
Goodness.
And it's the first one in the franchise to use some digital effects for death and gore shots.
Yes. Yeah, don't we know it?
We do. I mean, it was a 15 in the UK.
Yeah.
I don't think it was difficult to get this one uncut because it's so comedic and silly and sci-fi. Yeah.
It's just silly. And it's a pure comedy at heart. And we're looking at post-Scream now as well.
We are.
Where a lot of quite violent films got away with it because they're quite humorous or tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can understand why it was a 15.
Should we talk about who's in it?
Yes, in a section we like to call Hey, I Know You.
The last time...
This is the last one.
Unless he pops up in something else, the last time... And if you've been keeping up with these episodes, I'm so sorry that you've had to hear it so many times now. But if you're new, this is your first time. Kane Hodder is Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, parts 7 to 10. He's in Monster, Under Siege, Daredevil, the Hatchet series, Frozen, They Turn Us Into Killers, Killer Goats, and more. His last run.
This is
his last run. Bless him, he's still putting in the effort. He got it rough. I mean, he's a fan favourite, but that 3-film streak. And the New Blood's not great either. The New Blood's only fine at most. Yeah. It's so weird that he got those 4 films, because I always thought that he was in all of them. Yeah. I always thought, because everyone was like, Kane Hodder is Jason Voorhees. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's who he is then. He's in all of them. But no, he's in 4 of the weakest ones.
Yeah. I was always under the impression that he played... I mean, when I was young, obviously, before I grew a brain, I genuinely thought that he played Jason Voorhees.
But how would you know the difference? Sorry, I know it's a very Chris Barker.
IMDb, I suppose.
I know it's a Chris Barker argument, but you're saying...
Oh, yeah, of course.
But you're saying that, you grew a brain. Well, did you? Or does everyone who plays Jason Voorhees have a very similar...
I suppose I went onto IMDb and realised that, this is a different name each time. And then watched the films and realised that, so the cast changes a lot throughout. Yeah. I suppose I was always a Nightmare on Elm Street fan before I was a Friday the 13th. So Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger throughout the whole series. I assumed it was the same, but you know.
I think there's been less changes in Friday the 13th than there has been in the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, I think Halloween's different every...
Apart from the last three, and the Rob Zombie ones, I'm sure it's a different one each time.
Yeah.
But that more so backs up your argument for Halloween. I think playing Michael Myers is probably a lot easier than playing Jason Voorhees, because he's got a lot about him. He can teleport now. He can, he used to run. He runs in the next one we're talking about with a different actor. It's a little more effort into it, a little more physically demanding, and Kane Hodder's he's good at it. And that's my eulogy for Kane Hodder in this role.
At the end of the day, we sit here and we discuss films and we give our opinions, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the stunts that Kane Hodder does on the screen. In terms of differentiating between the Jason Voorhees, okay, I've said it in the past, I don't always notice the difference. That isn't me saying that I could do it.
No.
It's just saying that, I suppose maybe that's the point, is that they seem interchangeable.
Yeah.
And so I don't understand when people say, oh, he has a different physicality, but yes, a job well done. I like Kane Hodder a lot. I like his work a lot, so...
Lexa Doig plays Rowan LaFontaine, star of Andromeda, The Arrangement, Continuum, various Aurora Teagarden mystery films.
She's in, I think, all of them. The Aurora Teagarden.
I think she's Aurora Teagarden.
No.
I think she is.
Nope.
No?
No, Aurora Teagarden is the evil Candice Cameron Bure.
Oh.
Lexa plays Sally Allison.
Okay. She was in Chucky, Supernatural, Smallville, and more.
Yes. Teen Sorcery looks very interesting.
Yeah.
That one's definitely gone onto the watch list. Yeah, she does a nice job. She hasn't got much to do, does she?
Not really.
In my head, I'm trying to think, oh, she's the lead?
The lead, technically. Someone who does a little more is Lisa Ryder as KM14, who's also in Andromeda.
Andromeda.
Yeah.
That's a TV series, isn't it?
series, yeah.
So I think the sci-fi thing is... I think... Someone watched Jason X and they look good in space.
Oh, yeah. She's also in Forever Night, Earth, Final Conflict, From, The Strain, My Dreams of You, and Not So Royal Christmas.
Oh no.
Christmas on the Rocks, Styled with Love, and more. Lisa Ryder is the best thing about this film.
Yes.
Her and her Bob.
That Bob. She is giving, and we're going to repeat it throughout, but she's giving Miranda Hobbs.
Yeah.
She's got a ginger bob, and she's got her pale skin, and we're living for it.
Yeah. Chuck Campbell plays Sunaran Payton. He was in The Mouth of Madness, Superstar, Stargate Atlantis, Possessed, Urban Legend Final Cut, Deadly Descent, The Abominable Snowman, and more. He and Lexa Doig made a number of guest appearances on two separate Stargate television series.
Oh.
Doig in Stargate SG-1 and Campbell in Stargate Atlantis. Both were filmed primarily in Canada and both are Canadian citizens. Jason X also hired a great number of Canadian actors as filming was also completed in Canada. Thank you very much, Tax Break.
Yeah.
It's funny that they're in Stargate SG-1 and such because... this is given Stargate.
Yeah. It's kind of given every random sci-fi thing from the early 2000s. My one in particular, and it's actually an Australian production called The Tribe. I think it's Australian New Zealand. Actually, I think it was. My apologies, but yeah, it was. It's giving that, and I used to love The Tribe. I used to watch it religiously. But the way the characters are like dressed and the teens, the way they all look, like it's very early 2000s look at space or post-apocalyptic.
Even though it's set 400 years in the future.
Yes.
Peter Menza plays Sergeant Brodsky. He was in 300 Rise of an Empire, Spartacus, Avatar, Hypochondriac, Gladiator 2, The Incredible Hulk, Bruiser, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Snake Eyes, and more.
Nice.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing too exciting there.
Well, he's in Gladiator 2. So.
Gladiator 2, so still working. Good for him.
To everyone's shock...
Yes.
My final one...
Okay.
Is David Cronenberg. As Dr. Wimmer. Of course, the director of such classics as The Fly, Videodrome, The Brood, Dead Ringers, you know, an iconic horror director is in this film. He was also the star of Nightbreed, To Die For, Star Trek Discovery, Humane, Falling, Disappearance at Clifton Hill, Barney's Version, The Grace of God, and more. I didn't know David Cronenberg was such an actor.
Yes, I suppose. Yeah.
This was done as a favour.
I mean, he was very good in Nightbreed.
He was, yes. Yeah. In Nightbreed. This was done as a favour to his former protege, James Isaac, for loaning his Canadian-based production crew to him. In exchange, he wanted to get killed on screen. Once he came on board, he quickly noticed some problems with the script and began rewriting most of his character's line. According to James Isaac, one of those lines was, "I want him soft." We could have had Betsy Palmer.
Okay.
She was doing...
I feel like we always could have had Betsy Palmer.
We do. She was doing a play in Toronto at the time that it was being filmed. And according to Palmer, one of the producers contacted her about possibly reprising her role as Pamela Voorhees, most likely in the simulation scene. They did not come to an agreement and the character was not included. Because Jim Isaac wanted the acting, and this is a fact about the cast as a whole, Jim Isaac wanted the cast to blow every other Friday the 13th film out of the water. The rehearsals were videotaped on a camcorder for him, who would then view them afterwards to get ideas for seeing his characters in action. The problem was that with all the rewrites, a lot of the time Isaac didn't know what the actors were rehearsing, and whether it was going to still be in the film.
Okay.
And that's an excuse to why the acting isn't good.
It's cheesy acting.
It is.
I think it works.
It's just funny that he thought this was getting Oscars.
This was going to get... Yeah.
Best supporting actor David Cronenberg.
Can I just add one for Hey I Know You? So Jonathan Potts. Jonathan Potts stars as who is he star as in the film? Professor Lowe. Yeah.
Okay.
Now he was the voice of Link in the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Oh wow.
You know, excuse me, princess. That guy. It was also a voice in Swamp Thing, the TV series.
Wow.
Hello Kitty and Friends. He was in which one's Due South, obviously, being a Canadian actor. Sex and Mrs. X. Cruel Intentions 2 as Assistant Headmaster Muller. If you remember that scene.
Oh no.
Queer as Folk, the American version. I think he's still True Confessions of a Hollywood Starlet.
Wow. Which
sounds like our kind of thing. But yes, I thought it was quite funny that he was the voice of Link. Oh, he was in Totally Killer as well.
Oh, good for him.
As adult Chris Dubossage.
There we go.
Yeah, and Eli Roth's Haunted House Trick VR Treat.
Oh, lovely.
There we are.
Anyone else?
No, I think that's it, actually.
Okay, well, let's go to space for our feature presentation.
Coming soon.
He is an unstoppable killing machine.
What the hell is going on?
Jason Voorhees!
Guys, It's okay, he just wanted his machete back! Uh-oh.
He's been modified. Oh, you think? You guys might want to run.
Jason X.
I don't think he's out there.
Why don't you stick your head out and have a peek?
Rated R, coming soon.
2008, mass murderer Jason Voorhees is captured by the United States government and held at the Crystal Lake Research Facility.
Does that fit with the other films? Are
Yes.
we at 2008 now? So that's good. At
Yeah,
least they
I mean,
put that effort
we
into
don't
it.
know what happens between Freddy vs. Jason's ending and this.
No.
He's shrunk.
Yeah.
He's a lot taller in Freddy vs. Jason, funny enough.
Happens to us all.
And yeah, and I said on the other episodes, the consistency in this franchise never fails to impress me. I can't believe they still kept these things in mind, and it
Yeah.
actually works.
Yeah.
By 2010, after numerous failed attempts to kill Jason, government scientist Rowan LaFontaine, head of the facility, suggests putting him in cryogenic stasis. Dr. Wimmer, David Cronenberg, and Sergeant Marcus arrive with soldiers, hoping to further research Jason's ability to heal from lethal wounds, as they believe it involves rapid cellular regeneration that can be replicated. David Cronenberg says, I don't want him frozen, I want him soft.
Yeah.
And I gave him a lot more life than he has in his performance.
It's
given favour.
yeah, it's given his order at the ice cream van.
Yeah, he brings no life to this whatsoever. It's just the fact that it's David Cronenberg that makes his performance stand out a little.
Yeah, this opening it's dull. To me, it is.
I know, of course
it is.
it is.
Apart from David Cronenberg, it is quite dull because the sets are really dull. It looks like it's in a a car park, and there's really nothing to it. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, even when Jason breaks free of his restraints and murders the soldiers and Dr. Wimmer, David Cronenberg's death isn't even that good.
What is it? Does he throw them? I actually forgot. Does he throw them?
I'm sure he
machete
just
at
stabs him.
It's
Like it's. You'd think you'd.
I mean, it's David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Make his head explode.
Exactly.
You know, throw him out of a window and see him splat on the ground. You know, do something. It's David Cronenberg dying on screen. The guy who is the king of body horror. Do something gruesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Snatch his wig off.
He wanted to be in the film so he could be killed on screen. I
Yeah.
don't think this was his idea. Just be
So
stabbed.
disappointed, wouldn't you?
Rowan lures Jason into a cryogenic pod, but he ruptures the pod with his machete, stabbing her in the abdomen. Cryogenic fluid spills into the sealed room, freezing them both.
I like Rowan because she does kind of kick his ass a little bit.
She does.
She does. And I think maybe this is somewhat a throwback to Jason Goes to Hell. Mm-hmm. Like that interesting ass-kicking woman at the beginning. And yeah, she just gets a little overconfident, doesn't she?
She does.
Her outfit.
She's a strong businesswoman.
It's not quite executive realness. It's a very plain suit.
It is, yes.
Yeah, it's not nice.
It's yeah.
She's a bit ill-fitting as well, I thought.
It is a bit big. Well, she's not going to have it for much longer, frankly.
No.
Because we go forward.
He's a dirty beggar.
We go forward to the year 2455.
Yeah.
Where Earth is too polluted to support life and humans have moved to a new planet, Earth 2. Very inventive name. This is when we get to see the stunning visual effects. This film was actually shot on 35mm but then transferred to HD video to aid the creation of the extensive and elaborate visual effects shots.
Right.
Which made it the first ever feature-length film to be shot first ever feature-length film to be completely entirely in the digital realm.
Oh.
Special place in the history of cinema.
Which is why it was viewed online.
Yeah.
Is that why? Yeah, I suppose that would have been why, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
But yeah, great work, guys. I mean, It looks shit. It really looks so cheap. $11 million did not go on this.
The thing is, obviously, we're here and we're analysing it 22 years later.
I get that.
So at the time, I'm sure you... how old would you have been? 10-year-old Gary.
Yeah.
Would have been sat there going, wow, look at these effects. So cool. Whoa, Jason just killed him. Wow.
Potentially.
Like, now I'm playing with power. Way.
I mean, when you think about it, it was the same year as Attack of the Clones, and that looked like shit.
Yeah. You would have been sat there with, like I was at Phantom Menace, going, "Whoa, look! It's like I'm in the past." Is this 4D? What an experience. And we would have been sat there and we would have went home and we would have played Tomb Raider and go, whoa, look at these graphics. She looks like a real life woman. And now you realise, oh.
Yeah.
Boxy.
Well, yeah, you're right. On a field trip to Earth 1, Professor Brandon Lowe, his android companion KM14, who looks like she was the face of every hair dye and hairdresser's window in the 2000s
So
in the UK.
true. It's
like,
I'm sure it was America
genuinely,
as well.
you could not escape that Bob.
She is directly from,
and it's the colour
the
as well,
box.
the exact
Yeah,
colour
yeah.
that it always was.
It is, and she's a pale. It was always a really pale woman.
Yeah.
And I can understand why it was always a really pale woman, because it made the hair look more vibrant.
Yeah.
So when they're doing like a coloured hair, like a red or something that's maybe not natural, get the palest woman to do it, because it's really going to pop next to her skin.
Yeah.
But she's that girl.
She is. Also with them is intern Adrian Thomas and students Sue Naran, Janessa, Azrael, Kinzer, Waylander, and Stoney. And they all explore the abandoned Crystal Lake Research Facility, finding the frozen Jason and Rowan. They find out Jason has a hockey mask on, and one of the students says, "What's a hockey mask?" And KM says, "Facial armour, used in a sport outlawed in 2024. Girl, we haven't got long left in 2024. Hockey is still going strong.
Yeah, it's given Canadian production.
Yes.
How do we know you're in Canada? Hockey references.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a reference to another film? Is there another film where a sport's outlawed in 2024? Is
Probably.
It's just a joke.
I think it's just a bit of generic dialogue.
What film did we watch that was surprisingly good? Was it Rollerball?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not. Wasn't there a remake of that?
Around this time.
Yeah, I remember because it's when I really started to get into not films. Well, yeah, no, I suppose films in general. But I read Empire magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they gave Rollerball sequel like 1 star.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that being released. And Torquay around the same time, which had a very similar cover, which was about motorbike racing, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk.
Was it not Torquay? It's about the same way.
But it's not about like the place by the sea, is it?
I thought it was.
Oh, do you think it was set there?
No, of course not.
Yeah, it was. Torquay
I thought
Racing.
they named it.
It would be,
Racing.
wouldn't that be donkey racing
Yes,
if it was by the sea?
I'm sure it would be.
That'd be great. Greyhound racing. What's your favourite film about greyhound racing?
Torquay.
Torquay.
They bring Rowan and Jason aboard their spaceship, the Grendel, and revive Rowan whilst leaving Jason in the morgue, believing he is dead.
Oh.
Calling it the Grendel, like, they really thought this was going to look a lot fancier than it actually is.
Grendel. Is that a reference to something?
I don't know, I don't think so.
So
It's probably like, no need, it's probably like someone, a producer's brother's cat or something.
probably
like that.
that's fine. Azrael seems to be the class clown, doesn't he?
Yes.
He touches things that he shouldn't be touching, and ends up having his arm chopped off by Jason when the frozen Jason falls over.
Yeah.
Technological advances allow his arm to be reattached with some real cool CGI.
So real.
So real. What do you think to the clothing?
It's 2000s.
in 2455. It's surprisingly a lot of knitted clothing.
They're going through like a retro 2001, 2000 era.
It's giving Gap, but if everything was knitted. There's a lot of sleeveless action.
There is.
There's a lot of midriffs on the show, on display. And Janessa, now I don't know if there's a word for it.
Yeah.
But Janessa's wearing what is a knitted top.
Yeah.
But there's nothing down the middle. So there's a section from her neck to her navel. Well, to her crotch, I suppose.
Yeah.
But to her navel, that's completely bare.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's a little bit of something keeping.
There is
a little bit of string or something keeping it together. I like it. I think it's quite cunty actually. But I don't know if it's school attire.
It's given girl group in the early 2000s.
Oh my god, yeah.
Lead singer in a girl group.
He loves me, he loves you not.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's given.
Don't sue me, Dream. don't, what is it, copyright infringement?
They should sue her for copying their outfits.
But yeah, I know I like it, but I just, number one, I could not find the word for it. I don't know if there is a term for it.
I don't think there is. It's not quite a midriff on show crop top because it's a lot shorter than that.
But there's not necessarily any side boob because there's
no, it's like under boob.
It's not cleavage though, is there?
Kind of, but just like under.
No, it goes all the way down. It's not midriff.
Is it not?
It goes all the way down. But the belly button is on show, but only because there's a bare sort of...
Oh, I'm thinking of a different
middle.
outfit.
No, Janella is the one...
I'm thinking of Adrian.
Spoiler alert, Janessa is the one that gets sucked through the vacuum at the end.
Okay, yeah.
So she's...
Sense.
Yeah.
Well, Adrian, who is wearing the outfit I was describing... with the underboob, is ordered to dissect Jason's body, but Rowan warns them of the danger, revealing Jason's nature and superhuman abilities. Apparently, he killed nearly 200 people back in the day.
Yeah? That's true?
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah.
She's
the one she's giving Katherine Heigl. You're at the beginning of Valentine. She's like separate to everyone. Like I feel like these scenes were like shot completely separate. Like she never met any of the other cast. Yeah. Apart from the
Stoney
the
and
two.
Kinzer.
Stoney and
Stoney and Kinzer's thing is obviously that they just cannot resist having sex or talking about sex. One of them says, "How does he function with a brain that's small?" And one of them says, "Oh, he's a big boy." And then another one says, "I bet he's hung like a mammoth."
Yeah. So Stoney and Kinzer are that heterosexual couple that you hate.
Yeah.
That are constantly pouring at each other. They don't focus on anything else. No. And the big thing is they're at school. Like this is technically a school trip. Yeah. And I'm assuming Adrian is in some way a teacher of some sort, but an adult figure, despite not looking that much older than them. So she's like, "Oh, just go away, you pair. You're always pouring at each other. Just go away." And I'm like, "Can we go have sex?" Like, yeah.
It does lead to one of the film's very few genuinely funny jokes, so I can't be too mad at them.
Okay.
Lowe, who is in serious debt, calls his financial backer Dieter Perez on the nearby space station Solaris.
Yes.
And Perez recognizes Jason's name and notes his body could interest a collector because of his death count and because he just disappeared after he killed everyone.
Yes. So his ship is called Solaris.
Yes.
Let's not bring the 220th best film of all time, according to Letterboxd, into this.
Yes.
Let's not do a disservice to Tarkovsky. Maybe the Soderbergh film. Yeah. But that hadn't have actually been made. And
are you sure?
Yeah, 2002.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
After the call, Janessa shows up with nipple clamps and champagne so she can work on getting those good grades from Lo. She twists his nipples until he gives her a pass whilst he's dressed in see-through women's lingerie.
Oh, he's wearing a is it? Did they call it a teddy?
Maybe.
I think in America they call it a teddy.
Yes, he's in
Lingerie.
women's clothes, so it's hilarious, obviously.
Not in a he's breaking gender norms.
No.
It's a look how funny he is.
Yeah. I feel like this is a nod to Jason Takes Manhattan, the teacher on the ship thing.
Although I suppose it could be a nod to... I'm sure there's about 50 teen films from the early 2000s where a teacher gets with a student.
Yes.
I mean, the genders are probably sometimes reversed with that as well.
Yeah.
It's given Sybil Danning in Playing with Fire.
It wishes it was giving Sybil Danning in Playing with Fire. Adrian is taking off Jason's mask and she's like, "Oh, poor baby, no wonder you wore this thing." And he's like, "Excuse me?
What the fuck did you just say?"
KM, meanwhile, asks Sunaran to give her nipples because Janessa has them, but one falls off, so he tells her she's perfect as she is. If it was a film later that we're discussing today, he'd have told she has perfect nipple placement.
Well, she doesn't because they...
No, it falls
but
off.
they drop off with a bang. Like,
They
they
do.
are heavy.
Yeah.
That's clearly where he's going wrong. I mean, make some nice light nipples.
Just use a sticker.
Yeah, Sunaran looks like Andrew Garfield.
He does. Budget
does.
Andrew Garfield.
And budget Andrew Garfield putting nipples on budget Cynthia Nixon.
Yeah.
And I'm living for it.
Yeah. But elsewhere, the funny joke I was talking about.
Oh.
Stoney and Kinzer have sex. And as they make orgasm noises, this wakes Jason up. That's quite funny. As far as post-scream humour goes, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Them having sex is the reason he wakes up and attacks Adrian. In an iconic way, he freezes her face with liquid nitrogen before smashing her head to pieces on a counter. In 2010, Discovery Channel's Mythbusters actually tested this out to see if it would work. It doesn't quite pass the test.
Oh no. Whose face did they use?
It wasn't Adrian's.
This is the highlight of the film.
It's the highlight.
If you talk to anyone...
They know this, yeah.
About Jason X. You say, "Oh, what do you remember about Jason X?" This is the kill that they will mention.
It is.
This is the most memorable part.
Yeah, it's one of the best in the franchise. And the thing is, that's the thing with all these films. No matter how bad some of them are, there's always at least one kill that stands out. And Jason Takes Manhattan, you've got the head punch.
Yes.
Jason Goes to Hell, the tent.
Yes.
And then this is the face smash, which has been recreated so many times since in different ways. And yeah, it's why you go to a slasher film, and the special effects on this look so good.
Yeah. I'm glad they didn't CGI this.
I feel like
would not be talking about it.
We would not. I feel like it's where all the budget went.
Yeah.
There's one scene, and to appear on Mythbusters as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Poor Adrian. Gone too soon.
Was she gone too soon? I did really like that. That outfit was maybe the most early 2000s.
Yeah, definitely.
It's giving Jessica Simpson's
They could have
Christmas
all formed.
special.
Yeah, they could have formed a girl group on set.
One thing I did notice, and I'm sure it was particularly awkward for poor Kane Hodder, where you can tell as he's grabbing her, he's trying not to lift the top because we get a little underboob, and I think he's deliberately trying not to
I think
force the top up.
I think he's trying not to, but I don't know if that was a director's intention for him not to. I feel like it's very much deliberate.
I would hope that her wishes were thought of in that situation. I'll give you a cunty underboob, but you're not getting any more than that.
Yeah. Rowan gets some food from Lo. He says, "I brought you something to eat. Not much longer we'll be at Earth 2." And she's like, "Earth 2? What happened to Earth 1?" He's like, "It's dead. The oceans, the soil, neither will sustain life." Thank you for the social commentary.
I think it's cool. It's a good part.
It is.
I was going to say cool, but really cool. Earth 2, really cool. Which I suppose is the point. Much cooler than Earth 1. Yeah, I find it
Cringy.
It's a bit cringe because it doesn't do anything with
I
it.
appreciate a message, but just saying it doesn't mean
Yeah.
you've got your message out there.
I don't know how much they paid Michael Jackson for the Earth song to play in the background, but I bet the budget went there as well. We wish, obviously.
Yeah. Jason takes a machete-shaped surgical tool and kills Stoney in front of Kinzer.
Oh no.
Deserved.
Stoney is struggling to convey how he feels, despite having a machete
Yes.
thrust through him.
Still thinking about sex.
Can I just and maybe 5 years in is maybe a little too late to be talking about this. But when I make fun of people, when we make fun of acting in this, I know fully well that I probably wouldn't do any better. But I have paid money to watch this film, so I'm entitled. But I do understand that I'm a huge hypocrite with that, because I don't think I could have conveyed emotion anymore.
You're listening to Horror Court Trash Over, a comedic podcast show where we review films and tear them apart despite not being able to make films. 353 episodes in. There's your update.
Surely that's everyone in there.
Right.
Everyone who comments on
Yeah.
film, like, oh, no,
I don't know
this
many
Alfred
filmmakers,
Hitchcock
so-
film is only a 3.5, as if we could do any better.
I don't know why you turned into Alfred Hitchcock while saying that.
Well, there you go.
Jason interrupts a projected holographic game, breaking Azrael's back and bashing crewman Dallas, played by Todd Farmer, bashes his skull in. This is the creature I was talking about. This looks fucking horrific. This isn't even PlayStation 2 graphics. This is PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
And we had a creature designer on set directing the film. Come on.
Yeah. The budget was far too low for this not to look corny. And it looks corny, it looks stupid. This forced aliens narrative. Yeah. Well, this is aliens, I suppose.
Yeah.
With the soldiers. Like, when they were on Earth 1, yeah? Why weren't the soldiers the one to go there? Why was it the scientists?
Yeah, the students.
Surely the reason... My question is, what is the reason for the soldiers to be on the ship?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. It feels like two separate stories being told.
Yeah.
And it's corny. This whole thing is very, very corny.
Yeah. It gets camp though, because Sergeant Brodsky leads a group of soldiers to attack Jason. It doesn't go very well.
No.
Jason tries to attack Engineer Crutch, but Brodsky and his soldiers arrive and shoot him. After Brodsky splits up his team, Jason kills them one by one. We get a neck snap, a punch that leads to falling on a big sharp object that looks like a screw.
It is a screw.
To which, when it's reported to everyone else, the person on the walkie-talkie says, "He's screwed."
Yes.
We get a throat slit. Someone is split down the middle. Another team member is impaled on a big hanging thing. And Brodsky is stabbed in the stomach. It's so stupid. And I think it's camp. I think this whole film is camp. Because of how ridiculous it is. And it's clearly, we know it's trying to be aliens. But it's just so stupid.
You're a slasher film in space. The kills is where you can actually get the humour.
Yeah.
Like, him being on a giant screw, I mean, that's funny.
Yeah.
He's screwed. It's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, did I wet myself? No. But I appreciate shit like that. I mean, it's an inventive kill. It's something a little different.
Yeah.
It made me chuckle. That was meant to be the whole point of the film. And I think it's that kind of pun that Jason Lives did a lot.
It's true.
And successfully too.
Yeah, this film tries doing what Jason Lives did, which was pre-Scream.
Yeah.
But somehow, this one, it doesn't always work with it.
I think it gets lost in other directions, and I think that's the problem. Because if it had been an all-out parody, I actually think it would have worked better. I think the problem is it's trying to be a space comedy.
Yeah.
So it is self-referential at times, but not enough for it to be an all-out parody. It still takes itself a little too seriously, to a certain, as much as a comedy can take itself seriously, and I think that's where it fails.
Yeah. So
But a scene like this is funny, because funny kills are funny. It's slasher
It's true.
film. Yeah, I don't care about these people, so please kill them in inventive ways.
Yeah, I mean, a great example is Pilot Lou, who Lo orders to dock at Solaris, and Lou, every time he shows up, he's like, yeah, women, man. Yeah, women. It's like, great.
Oh yeah, yes. I was trying to think who you were talking
And
about.
it's like, this
Pilot
guy has
Lou.
no purpose to be there. We didn't need to see the pilot, but even there, he's like, and he loves making things all about himself. It's like, guys, what about me? Because he's like, all these people have died. Like, oh, they're gonna blame this on me. I'm like, what? But Jason kills him, thankfully, and the ship crashes through Solaris, destroying it.
Brodsky's also beat, isn't he?
He is
By Jason.
Yes, for now.
Oh, spoiler.
Wow.
He says that it's going to take more than a poke in the ribs to put down this old dog.
Yes.
And then so Jason stabs him through the chest. He said, yeah, that ought to do it. So yeah, Brodsky beat.
Thank you for that. We get a line of dialogue that was definitely made specifically for the trailer, where Rowan says, "Oh, I don't think he's still out there," and someone else says, "Well, why don't you just stick your head out and have a peek?"
Yeah.
Followed by
That's funny. I like that.
Followed by another bit of dialogue for the trailer, where Jason breaks into the lab, reclaims his machete, and Lo's like, "Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back." So he decapitates him.
He does. Yes. Oh, Lo. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gone.
There's a lot of characters in this film, isn't there?
There is a lot of characters. They
They
wanted a body count.
Yes, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good for viewing because it's like, yeah, fine, whatever, kill him, cut off his head.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to remember the
Yeah.
for a podcast, it's like, oh, which one's Low? It's like, oh, he actually had more character development than the majority of the characters.
He did.
Because let's be clear here. Our main girl, I don't think we've mentioned her name for the last 10 minutes. She hasn't been anywhere.
Yeah, I do find she's definitely not... Even if she is the lead,
Rowan.
she's not a major character.
No.
Like, she's very much just interchangeable with the others.
Yeah, just thrown to the wayside. Rowan.
We get a beam you off joke.
Excuse me.
Someone says, could you beam us off or something?
Oh.
With the grin...
Oh, is that not a Star Trek reference?
Yes.
Yeah, Rowan says it. So Rowan's reference to space would be Star Trek.
Yeah.
So not beam me off as in...
I feel like it's also there for
Flick
that,
the
because this
beam.
was around the same time as American Pie.
Flick the beam.
Thank you. With the Grendel crippled, the survivors head for a shuttle while Sunaran upgrades KM-14. He upgrades her to Cunt M14, CM14 as it's also known. Rowan finds Brodsky, who's still alive, and goes to get help for him.
Yes. Just when you thought you had Brodsky beat.
Yeah, but then he's gone again when she goes back.
Oh.
After crew member Crutch is electrocuted by Jason following a goofy jump scare with Lowe's head on his machete, which looks so fucking dumb.
It did look silly.
Kinzer attempts to escape on her own, but forgets to release the shuttle's fuel lines, causing it to crash into the ship and explode, killing Kinzer.
Yeah, so the Lambert
bitch.
Award for shittest under pressure goes to Kinzer.
Yes. Yeah, she's definitely top tier silly bitch.
Top
She brought
tier.
Jason to life. Her orgasm brought him to life.
That's true.
Sunaran turns a corner when Jason corners everyone. He's like, hey, Slappy, got a little something for you. Gave her an upload.
Yeah, yes.
An upgraded KM14.
My question is, gave her an upload. Is that a deliberate joke? Because surely he means upgrade.
I feel like, yeah.
Do you think that's just
I don't even know if it's a joke. I feel like it's...
an upload? Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely it's an upgrade.
They're less technology advanced.
Well, there was a reference to DVDs a lot earlier in the film
There was,
as well, which I was
yes.
like, 2455? I mean, we're in 4K now, honey.
Yeah.
You know? And we're only in 2024.
Yeah, by that point, we'd be having people acting out the films in our living rooms.
We would, yes.
The upgraded KM14 is so cunty.
Ah.
She's got weapons, she's in leather, and her combat skills are top notch, so she stands a better chance against Jason. She just flicks, kicks, trips, tricks, the whole shebang to take him down, followed by lots of shooting. And she says, "I'm afraid I'm going to have to hurt you now."
And Jason goes, "Miranda?" But it's like, I don't think Miranda, and as someone who identifies as a Miranda, don't judge me, I don't think Miranda has ever been this version of herself in the show.
And just like that, season 3 is yet to come now.
Yes. So I'm hoping that we get this side of Miranda.
Yeah.
Just like that, season 3. Miranda's never been this cunty.
It's true. After having his right arm, left leg, right ribs, and part of his head blasted off by KM14,
Sorry, is this the game of Twister?
Jason's body is knocked into a nanite-equipped medical station, and KM14 says, "Who's your mama?"
Miranda?
The survivors, now including Brodsky, who came back to try and help during KM14's fight with Jason, but he wasn't needed. They send a distress call, then set explosive charges to separate the ship's undamaged pontoon from the main section. In what was the biggest gag for everyone who watched the illegal version, because the illegal version was out, this ended up being included in all the trailers and the fucking poster for the film.
Oh.
The medical station nanites rebuild Jason and turn him into a cyborg.
Oh, okay, yes.
That was meant to be the film's big moment, the big twist that was going to get everyone talking. But it was leaked with the rest of the film. So they used it as part of the marketing.
Oh, okay.
I get it though. I feel like that would have been a great twist if it wasn't leaked.
Yeah.
Like, imagine watching this for the first time and then that happened and you had no idea.
It's dumb fun.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's
if
over
you're
the
going to
top.
go over the top, you
Yeah.
might as well
Uber.
go all out. Uber Jason.
Is that what
He's
they
called,
call it?
He's called
Yeah.
Uber Eats Jason.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Uber now does trains Jason. Uber Jason in space. And everyone keeps calling him and he's like, "I'm not that kind of Uber. Fuck off."
Robert De Niro and the guy from Sex Education.
Yeah. Keep riding him.
I need to
keep riding
get,
Jason.
I can get you some ice cream if you want. I don't pay for delivery.
Honest thoughts. No one's going to come for you. We've slagged off a lot of films on this podcast.
Yes.
What do you think
okay.
of Uber Eats Jason?
I think it's stupid, but I like it because it's stupid. I mean, this is parody. This is over the top. This is parody. This is stupid, but it's great because it is.
And he immediately reenacts the Jason Takes Manhattan kill, and he punches KM14's head off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Bob soar through the air?
No, not like that. No.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a good design. Kane Hodder looks great in it. And he's unstoppable, so it ups the stakes as well as being silly.
Yeah.
Someone says, "What the hell is going on?" And Rowan says, "Jason fucking Voorhees. That's what's going on." Another line definitely written specifically for the trailer.
Absolutely.
As Sunaran...
Does that really mean anything by that point?
I know, yeah. It's like... Why are you even asking what's going on? Obviously, you know what's going on.
Jason fucking Voorhees. What? Who? The one that got turned into a child after being in the New York Steelers.
The one that goes around as a slug possessing people.
Slug, yeah. Which Jason are we talking about? The one...
He's been through a lot. Considering this is meant to be the same character. Fucking hell.
He's been through a lot, yeah.
He's
He's lived many lives.
Many times.
He has.
He's been brought back from the dead. He's a zombie. He's a slug. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Tsunara
showbiz.
recovers her still functioning head, KM's head, Jason is stopped by a Waylander who sacrifices himself by setting off the charges whilst the others escape.
Lovely.
Because it's 2002 and we obviously need a black man to sacrifice himself for all the white characters. One of two.
Yes.
One of two.
This is twice this happens. Yeah.
It's such lazy writing.
Yeah. It is... Yeah,
It's
there's
a
no
trope.
two
It's a
ways.
trope.
Yeah,
It's a
there's no
lazy
two ways
trope.
about it. And it is a trope.
But it's not making fun of that trope.
No.
It could have made fun of that trope.
Yeah.
But it didn't.
No. I mean, this is post-Scary Movie.
Yeah.
Which, if I can remember, or at least in my history of filmmaking, was it partly the first film I knew to talk about black characters in horror films.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure there may have been one or two before that point, but that was the real mainstream parody of horror films that spoke about that subject. And this is after that. And to have two black male characters sacrifice themselves in order for everyone else to live, and for that just to be like, okay, just happens, is, I mean, at this point, silly.
Yeah, and completely unnecessary because Jason survives and punches a hole through the hull, causing Janessa to die in the vacuum.
She does. Bless her, she's holding on for dear life, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is. And she says, this sucks on so many levels, and she lets go.
Amazing. That's fucking funny.
That's funny. Because it literally does. I mean, it's funny and true.
Yeah. A power failure with the docking door forces Brodsky to go outside in an EVA suit to fix it.
Yeah. In my notes, I just have under this. You know what? It's okay to be under 90 minutes. It's okay to be a slasher film under 90 minutes. People aren't going to want to get their their money back if you don't hit the 90-minute mark.
Yeah.
You can cut this, honey. Yeah. Cut it.
I'm sure other films in the franchise were below 90 minutes before this point as well.
And we actually care about Brodsky now. Because we've had he died, he didn't die, he's trying to help everyone. He's probably the strongest character. Yeah. We actually care about him now. Yeah. So let's have him survive. Mm-hmm. So don't have him do this silly thing outside. Let's have him inside, leading the pack. Mm-hmm. To distract Jason, a holographic simulation of Camp Crystal Lake is created with two virtual teenage girls, one of which looks like Countess Luann. She does. She has that hair. Yeah. That well, is it Bethany stole from Luann? Uh-huh. They say, hey... have their dialogue. Hey, do you want a beer? Or do you want to smoke some pot? Or maybe we could have premarital sex. We love premarital sex. After they both remove their tops. They do, and neither casting director Robin Cook nor director James Isaac initially wanted them to remove their tops. Oh. Cook was so adamant the scene was nothing but gratuitous nudity that she refused to cast the roles of the two topless girls, relegating those duties to her casting assistant, Andrea Cool, an actual name. Isaac agreed that it was clearly just nudity for nudity's sake, and the only way he could personally justify it is if they had fun with it and poked fun at it, including naked teens in the Friday the 13th films. The two actresses that were casted, Kay Penaflor and Tanya Moreau, were very excited about doing the scene because this is the biggest film either of them had appeared in. Yeah, and I don't want to speak on women's behalf in any way, but my personal opinion as a film fan is that if the actors are willing and they want to, and even if it is gratuitous, if it's just a bit of fun and it adds to it, I don't necessarily see the harm. Yeah. That's just my opinion, but I can see it from another perspective. I appreciate the sentiment, but I mean, look at the franchise this film's part of. It's constant. Yeah, so my question is, does it always have to mean something? Or can we, because we're sort of seeing potentially a move towards more conservative looks at films. The theory is that Gen Z is dislikes sex in cinema.
Which is amusing, because I'm pretty certain this year I've seen more sex scenes in cinema than I've ever seen in any new releases.
True. So I suppose the question is, what defines gratuitous? So if it's done as a parody, then it's not gratuitous. But is it not still... You could still do the parody without the nudity. So is it not still gratuitous? Because it's sort of... kind of stretching it so that it fits into this moral compass that they have. And as far as I know, and not as far as I know, excuse me, as far as in my opinion goes, I think if everyone is willing and able and everybody's on board and it's something that everyone agrees on, and the women and men, sometimes you get male gratuitous nudity, not very often. It is usually women. If everyone's on board with it, go for it. Yeah, and enjoy. Like, you could say, I mean, you get.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah,
I'm trying to dig myself a hole, and I'm not speaking on anyone else's behalf, just my own opinion. Yeah.
Well, either way, Jason kills them by bashing their sleeping bags into each other and against the tree, like his Kane Hodder's favourite kill in The New Blood.
Yeah, this is the second highlight of the film. Yeah, it's funny, but it does feel out of place and does feel shoehorned in. Yeah, like this parody, would have worked in another Friday the 13th film, but you're in space. Mm-hmm. And so it just feels shoehorned in, tacked on. Yeah. It's just... And because this is pure parody... Yeah. And the rest of the film isn't quite pure parody... It sticks out a little bit. But for a good reason, because it's funny. But I wish the rest of the film was more like that.
Well, Jason realizes the deception just as the door is fixed. Still in his EVA suit, Brodsky confronts Jason so the rest can escape. Yes. As they leave, the pontoon explodes, propelling Jason at high speed towards the survivors. So camp.
It's stupid.
So stupid.
It looks so silly.
Brodsky intercepts this and maneuvers them both towards Earth 2's atmosphere, where they are both incinerated on atmospheric entry.
Rowan says... You've got to be kidding me. Now, is that a reference to Aliens?
The Thing.
The Thing. Yeah. Thank you. That's... Yeah, okay.
Sunaran, Rowan and KM...
I'm getting chucked off the podcast. I'm getting the Aliens and the Thing mixed up. Oh, shit.
They escape as Sunaran assures KM14 that she will have a new body. On Earth 2... A pair of teenagers are by a lake when they see what they believe is a fallen star. Aww. The teenagers go to investigate as Jason's charred mask sinks to the bottom of the lake. Ooh. And X is the Loneliest Number by Mean Bunny plays.
Which lake do you think that was?
Wow. The ending, where Jason's mask lands, was open for a possible sequel. The original script even had someone pulling Jason's mask out of the water at the end, but didn't specify if it was Jason or not. But, along with the critical and financial failure and upcoming Freddy vs. Jason, any ideas for a sequel were abandoned. It's highly likely that Jason burned up completely on re-entering Earth's 2 atmosphere and died anyway. This question will likely never be answered properly though, as we don't see Jason's final state in this film, only his mask. And obviously in the timeline, this is the last one, technically. How stupid that they thought they could have a bunch of Space Jason sequels. Like, really?
Space Jason.
Who would want to see that again? And that's Jason X, the only Space Jason film, for good reasons.
Yes, that is Jason X. Yeah, for me, I think I've said it enough, but the humour should have been in a parody rather than an all-out comedy. Yeah. Because... it's more akin at times to an American Pie film. Yeah. Like, a lot of the sort of comedy is based on gender stereotypes and you want to shag me, don't you? Conversations.
Yeah.
It gets boring really quickly. There's too many characters for me to care about any of them, and the ones that we're meant to care about just don't get enough. Like Rowan is our final girl, but we don't really get any of her character.
We don't.
I wish there was more of that post-Scream energy, but also I think if there was too much post-Scream energy, we would have been sat here saying, oh, well, it's just ripping off Scream, isn't it? But I do think that if it's parodying itself, I think it's another level. I think it's something different.
Yeah.
I think if they did an all-out parody of themselves, the calls are coming from inside the house, I do think that would have been meta, yes, of course, post-Scream meta, but also would have given it a different edge.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been hilarious.
I mean, I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I think it, especially if you watch with more people and such, I think you're not making notes on it for a podcast. I think it's a fun film. I don't think it's a good film.
No.
But I think it's a fun film.
Yeah.
It's just completely harmless throwaway film in the franchise.
Yeah. And I've been speaking to Gary. We do sometimes speak to each other off away from the microphone. And I was saying to him, this is probably the last time I'll watch Jason X for a while.
Yeah.
I've watched it a number of times. All of the Friday the 13th films I've watched a number of times. And I think this is one of the ones that I'll wait a while to watch it again.
Yeah.
It won't be next Friday the 13th when we don't have to watch anything for the podcast and we can choose whichever one we want to watch.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long time before I watch Jason X again.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I would never watch it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever that means.
Well, let's give it some awards.
Yes.
Biggest Queen. It's going to go to KM14.
I completely agree. It's such a shame because I would have loved to have given it to Rowan. But it's KM14.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miranda Hobbs in space, kicking ass.
Biggest gasp. I've kind of substituted this actually for best kill, because I don't know. It never really made me gasp. What's yours?
I went with just David Cronenberg.
Yeah,
I think.
But when I first watched this, I didn't know who David Cronenberg was.
No, I suppose.
So
not.
judging from a first watch, I just went with Adrian's frozen face smash.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes. I mean, the biggest gasp can be the biggest.
Yeah.
Best kill.
Best dialogue, I've got, this sucks on so many levels.
He's screwed.
That's camp. It's got to be KM14's upgrade fight with Jason.
Miranda Hobbs kicking ass in space. High camp.
Ratings, I give it 4 Uber Eats meals ordered in an Uber driven by Uber Jason out of 10.
I gave it 4 Miranda Hobbs with Bobs out of 10.
Masterpiece, trash to piece, trash, basic or a camp or bunch of fun. I give it a camp or bunch of trash to piece.
I give it a camp or bunch of basic.
Okay. It's available on DVD, Blu-ray as part of the Scream Factory set if you're in America, and video on demand. If you enjoyed this, check out Alien Resurrection, the film that does it better.
Yes. I don't know why I put this. I'm sure there was a thought process. But if you enjoyed this, check out Event Horizon.
That makes sense.
Yeah?
It makes sense.
Yeah. It's been a long
Takes itself
time
more
since...
serious.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we watched Event Horizon.
Yeah.
We didn't actually... I think I gave it the same rating, actually. That's one that might need a rewatch. Event Horizon.
I'm sure we gave it like 3.
I remember being disappointed because everyone said it was fantastic and we'd love it. Well, no one said that to me specifically.
I gave it a 7 out of 10.
I gave it... Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I gave it 2.5.
Oh, wow.
Are you sure you gave it 7?
I'm sure I did.
Shall I be nosy?
Well, whilst Chris has been nosy,
yes.
We are Horror Cult Trash over on Facebook and Instagram. Horror Cult Trash on Twitter. I'm Gaz92 on Letterboxd and Gaz9205 on Instagram.
I am Chris Barker 823 on Letterboxd, where I gave Event Horizon 2.5, and Gary gave it 3.5.
Told you.
Just found out. And Chris Barker 823 on Instagram as well.
And we are also Gasp Horror Fest across all social media. Give us a rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, like and follow on everything else. And I've just done all that, but I'm going to end up doing it again later on. I should have just skipped straight to it.
That is true, actually.
We'll be back
later on today.
At midday.
Midday.
Today with our final Friday the 13th episode when we'll be discussing the 2009 remake. So, we'll see you same place at 12 p.m.
Yeah, see you in a bit. Ta-ra.